Hey everybody, I'm Cheryl Swift, Duchess of Rock and Roll, here tonight at the Blue Note in Como with none other than Juda and the Lion.
Hello.
Hello everyone. How are you?
Doing well.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. It's been like 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5 days. I mean, seriously, I'm going to get accused of being a stalker for too long.
No.
I was headed to Nashville last week to interview Ray Scott and them Vibes. They toured with Maggie Rose, and I'm on my computer 2 days before I leave, and I'm like, does that say there's a show with Juda and the Lion on the one night I have no plans? And I was like, how did I miss this? So I jump online and buy a ticket, and then you guys are like, oh, this is a pop-up show. And I was like, okay, I'm not losing my ever-loving mind.
Yeah.
So you're on this short run with the new album, and you're doing it a little differently. So why don't one of you or all of you explain what was the idea behind this and why you're doing it?
Yeah, when we finished the record, it had such like a personal story to it. So it kind of, as we were kind of talking and just kind of like, how do we like introduce this record well? How do we share this story in a way that we kind of control the narrative a bit?
Right.
I don't know, like let a little bit of like the heart and intentionality behind the record to the ones, to our core fans, people that really want to hear the story first.
Right.
So we were like, what if we just played the record for people in the night that it felt like a little bit more of an intimate vibe, and
for sure.
We didn't really know what we were doing, honestly. We were just like, let's just book the shows and see if people show up, and
they have.
It's been really fun.
Yeah. If that's any indication, 3 days on sale in Nashville, it's sold out. One of the things I appreciate about the new album is the authenticity that's behind it, which I've always felt, and I say this to people often, that of all the rock stars I know, which is a lot, you to me are in the top 5 or higher of people who are authentic with your lyrics, who you are. Like, I don't see a disconnect between who you are on stage and who you are off stage. And sometimes in rock and roll, as you know, people change. And I've known you guys for a couple years now, I don't know. Adam says I was around when there were 30, 40 people, so that I'm going to go with that's true.
Yeah.
So I've known you from tiny bars to, in front of thousands of people. What is it that keeps you grounded and authentic in a way that comes through in both your personal lives and your music? What do you think you can attribute that to?
Thank you, first off.
Well, you're welcome.
Really
I mean it.
I don't know what specifically it is other than just, I think, being in a band and trying to constantly be authentic with each other off stage hopefully translates as well on stage, and I think we've always strived to do that with our lyrics and music, but with this record in particular,
it's very authentic and raw.
Yeah, and that was very important, to figure out how to convey the story well and give respect and kindness to kind of the fragility of it and the people involved, and so I think there's that, but also each of us trying to figure out how to be ourselves in the midst of a group and come across, I guess, authentic is something we've always strived to do, and so I don't know. I feel like I just restated your question.
It's okay. You gave an answer.
I think
it's a goal,
honestly, just to like being in the band with like brothers,
right?
Kind of always will keep you grounded, because you have somebody that'll punch you in the face if you're not like.
Yeah, if you don't have friends who can sit down and say, "Hey, Juda," you've gone a little too far.
Yeah,
like I've like 4 of those people. I call them the vault people, who can call me. I don't like coaching from people that I don't respect enough to coach me.
Right, totally.
But if I respect you, or I spend every night in a bus bunk with you, you have to be able to say, "Hey, Brian, that's too much," or "Hey, Juda, you gotta stop," or because if you can't have that inside the bus, which is a microcosm, it's like having another marriage almost. You have to be able to be authentic to one another and to the music.
Yeah.
And this record deals a lot with the things that you've personally been going through. And how has your family been with this? Was it hard for them at first, or how have they dealt with it?
I was really nervous. Just transparently, whenever I was like writing a lot of these songs, I didn't really even have the thought that we would put them out necessarily.
It was more cathartic writing.
Yeah, I thought it was more just for me, kind of like processing through what was kind of going on back home, but then through the process of being encouraged by these guys and friends, it became very apparent that maybe the story that I was going through could have a positive impact on other people. But that also has like what made me really nervous was showing the record to my parents.
Right.
Because I never would want to highlight anything that they already kind of felt embarrassed about or shame-filled about for the decisions that they've made, and I didn't want to like highlight that. I wouldn't want people to highlight that in me.
Right. That had to be a tough conversation to have with your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
I would think.
It was, and I mean, just through the process of talking to my counselor and talking to mentors I had back home, I felt very free when my counselor said, "You're allowed to have your story."
Yes.
And your mom and your dad are allowed to have their story as well. But this is your story. And this is, and the way that I kind of presented it to my parents was like, look, in interviews or whatever, like, I'm never going to shed a bad light on you as a human. Like, you're just
right, because in the end, we're all human, and we all make
right.
mistakes, and I always say I'm the biggest sinner in the room, and my friends are like, no, you're not. I'm like, well, okay, but I am, because I'm human, and I only know one who got out almost alive.
Yeah.
Took 3 days to figure it out, but in my mind, I think of no one is perfect.
Right.
Everyone is fragile. Some people can be honest about it. Some people can't. When I can't deal with what I'm going through anymore, I go to my counselor. And I didn't used to talk about it. And then I was like, no, what if, just like I feel about what you did with this record, and I was crying the other night, is what if I were to say I did that so that other people might feel freedom to do that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wore the shirt. Made to change the world. I feel that way about you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Because of your willingness, because most people aren't willing to go that far in personal stories.
Mm.
Or they'll write a song and say it's not about them. And you're like, that's where the core of writing comes from.
Yeah, right.
Like you could say it's about your buddy Jeremy, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so this album is personal, but like you said the other night, you also made it kind of fun, which is also another juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Like, how do I tell this crazy story and make it sound like a dance song?
Yeah, right.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, what we've been saying a lot is like a lot of the way that I even used to process things as a kid was just by dancing or singing.
Right, to get it like
raging.
Yes.
To get the.
It's your own personal mosh pit.
Out. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, I would be the kid that would go to like just anger and rage, and I would punch walls and like it would.
See, that's so hard for me to believe about you.
Leave me like bloody wrists, and maybe not play sports or whatever. And so when I learned to kind of take that energy
and channel it
to like more like music and dance, it was just better for my knuckles.
Yes. Well, and you were a star baseball player, like you were.
Kind of. Star is a stretch, but.
Well, you look like a star in
You're
those
a
old
star.
photos to me. You're a star in my mind. I'm sure you were in your mom's mind too. He was cool.
He was a star in my mind.
There you go, Brian. Not so much.
He was a star.
Oh, okay. I'm just kidding. So let's talk about home. Let's talk about the importance of being aunties and uncles. Because in my life, I never thought I would have a baby. You know, Bella's a miracle. I don't know if you know that or not. And they know my daughter, and she loves them more than water. But being an auntie has been one of the biggest privileges of my life. Mm-hmm. And I know that is that way for you. I want to talk to that a minute. There's nothing better, except for having your own kid. You're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's special. I got the privilege of getting a 2-for-1 deal last year. My sister had twins.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my wife and I are also the godparents of both of those nephews and then my other nephew.
Oh, that's great. Yes, I'm the godmother and the auntie, and it's like one of the privileges of my life to get to be responsible in that way.
It's amazing.
Yes. And then I follow your sister on Instagram. Sometimes I feel a little like a stalker because you're like, oh, Hensley. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they went to the park today. And I'm like, God, that's just so weird.
No.
Your sister has no idea who I am. And they're like walking to the park. And
oh, yeah.
She's pregnant again. I'm like, oh, look. And then I'm like, God, if she ever met me, she'd be like, who are you, crazy woman?
No.
Social media is
she's
crazy.
A champ. She's a star.
Yes.
Of a mom.
She seems really happy, and the kids are just... I mean, you want to talk about beautiful children.
Yeah.
She won the Latour Reed.
She pops them out.
She's a jam.
Yeah.
So this tour wraps up tonight. You get to go home because this is big Nashville Draft NFL weekend. Yeah. 350,000 people descending upon your streets.
In the Nashville Marathon's
tomorrow
as well.
or Saturday. It's all crazy
Saturday.
down
Oh,
there.
Saturday, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 17 events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tree controversies and
Yeah.
street closings, and
Yeah.
so now are you guys playing? This won't air till like for a couple of days.
We're
but-
playing the NFL draft. What is it, like acoustic?
It's a morning show.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. All right, and so you're gonna go home. You get to be home for a few minutes.
Get to be home, kind of rest up before the craziness of.
Yeah, you have a
next
big
week.
big tour starting, and going on the Today Show. And don't you have another late night appearance?
Seth Meyers. all next
God,
week.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Thanks.
Oh my God, it's just so great. I'm like, from tiny bars to late night TV.
We haven't even played yet, so we might screw it up. You know.
They're not going to screw it up.
We might not have.
If they do screw it up, don't text me. Here's their. No, I'm just kidding.
Cheryl's not proud.
Cheryl is
anymore.
not proud anymore. That's never going to happen. Well, anyway, we're here in Columbia. They have a sound check to do because there's already fans. There were fans lined up when I drove into town. What's that like for you? I saw somebody stop you on this street.
It's always like super sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for these shows. They're not
Typical.
traditional
Right.
shows, so people can have to show up early.
Right.
These just like you do more.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Special.
I adore
Thank
you
you.
guys. It's like so great. I love watching my friends' stars rise.
Thank you so much.
It's good when it happens to good people.
You're
So
the best. You're a man, Mom.
I love being the band mom. I have a shirt that says "Cause Mama said so." Mama
said
C.
so.
Like a lot of the
We
bands
need
call
to
me
get you,
Mama C.
when we get you, we'll get Adam to go grab you a Don't Mess with My Mama shirt.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'd be really
I
cool.
saw those in Nashville, but there's like so much going on.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
pew, 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 where's my phone? I had a little anxiety for a 51-year-old woman to not have my phone for 3 hours.
Oh yeah, I know.
And I was like, you're going to do what with my what? I don't want to give you my phone.
Yeah,
But I understand why.
we were the moms for a little bit.
You had to be the moms for 3 hours.
Take the kids' phones.
But
out.
you know what? It was peaceful. I never get to enjoy a show like that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the boxes upstairs. Turns out I'm going to get to enjoy a show like that
again tonight. Yeah.
Anyway, they got to go to sound check, so we're going to wrap this
Thanks,
up.
Cheryl. Love
You're
you.
welcome. Love you.
Tell everybody hello.
Okay, you guys, we will see you later. I'm Cheryl Swift. This is Juda and the Lion, and we wish you all peace, love, and rock and roll.